Was there an exciting 30 seconds? Okay, this is going to be the exciting 30 seconds, and we're not even going to edit this because I'm already recording. So, Darren, we just finished the interview. Why should people listen to you talk about social media stuffs?
Because social media is right now, I think, the most important factor in business. That's super underrated, that most people do not understand the significance of. And today we're talking about that significance, and we're talking about how to tackle it so you're not consuming all your time and so you're actually making money.
Awesome. So, Darren, take us back to the beginning. Well, that's just kind of funny because you may be one of the youngest people to come on the show. take us back to the beginning. Why the interest in real estate? Let's start with that. Let's start with why the interest in doing real estate.
Back to the beginning. So yesterday when I turned 12. No. Okay, so back to the beginning. You want me to go pre-real estate or right at real estate? Like, do you want?
Let's start with real estate. Let's start with real estate. Because we get a lot of listeners, for example, who are beginning their journey, and also just think it's interesting, even for people who are along their journey. Like, why do you invest in real estate? Like we were talking about Jacob Raney earlier, who's a very popular podcast guest. About that wasn't why. He would like none of us think really that it's a hedge for life. For what happens in life, right. But you're young. Not many people think when they're in their early 20s or even teens to invest in real estate. What was the motivation?
Yeah, so I think I've always been obsessed. I mean, first of all, with business, and so that originally led to all these like pursuits of, okay, how do I have independence? Like, I wanted freedom. So actually, I think a story. I'll give you a big motivation that maybe you never heard before, because I know you talk with my dad a lot. There's always this thing playing in my head. So we came from very, very poor, humble beginnings. Like, I won't say poor, but very humble beginnings. So my mom's side especially, very, very poor. They came to Canada from Portugal with nothing, as many immigrants to Canada do. And they worked like 3, 4, 5 jobs, whatever they could do, all day, all night, just to get food on the table. And they never really had prosperity. It was really just a life of struggle. Like, you just did what you did. And the stories out here growing up were always terrible. Like, they were mistreated at that time. There was times where they weren't allowed to go to the bathrooms. They're working in factories. And I hated that. Like, growing up, I always thought about that, and I thought of my life. And it was always like, I never wanted to be that. And I would hear stories of even my grandparents back in Portugal, where when they wanted a new house, the way you did it was my grandmother worked basically as a housemaid / servant. And she would, after work, she would get mud together and build bricks, brick by brick, on her house. So there's the first real estate connection. And I always thought, I go, isn't that crazy? Like, she was so motivated that even though she's just working as a housemaid and a servant, they had no money, she still wanted a better life for her family. And she literally would brick by brick assemble these things piece by piece. Unfortunately, by the time she was done, the war was breaking out, and they were trying to move here so the sons wouldn't get drafted. And that's when that all happened. So anyway, my background is I've always had that in my head. I've always thought that, like, they went through so much. I don't want to say they never ended up achieving anything, but in a prosperity sense, they didn't. They worked so hard just to basically pass the torch. My grandmother's now passed away, and I always felt a weight to a degree of that torch passed to us, where I needed to do more. And so I look at all my options, and I started looking at how I always wanted that kind of self-independence. And so I looked through business, and one of the ones that always attracted me was real estate. And I think the reason was I was so inspired because there was those humble beginnings that was around me, and I was always looking for more. I was inspired by these big names, these big players, these people like, actually the Warren Buffett. And one thing I started to find in common was all wealthy people seem to be involved in real estate. Even if they're not their primary form of wealth acquisition, it's usually the way they retain or grow it. And that's been that way since forever, like not recent, thousands of years. And it was really interesting to me because I go, wow, like wealthy means I own real estate. And that was an early connection I made. I also saw my dad early on always touching real estate, never super successfully early on because he didn't know what to do. Like a lot of people, he was buying and betting on future appreciation. He was buying a house, losing money every month, hoping in 3 years he would sell it. And it never really worked out. And I always looked at them and said, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be. So me and him both always started to have that tweak there. We knew it was needed for wealth. We knew it was what you did to be prosperous. We knew it was bigger than us, and we wanted to do it, but we didn't know how. So there came a point where he became very frustrated in his career, in his corporate career, and I knew he needed out. Like I heard it every single day. He was done, And I wanted to help. And I'm like, listen, I had this marketing company that was just starting at the time. It was brand new. It wasn't making like any money. I got $600 a month maybe. And I'm like, I have some time. Why don't I dive into this with you? We'll get this off the ground. Let's see what we can do. So we bought all the books we could in real estate. We started reading all these books. We read all the Don Campbell stuff, all the Canadian stuff. And then we ended up signing up to the Scott McGillivray free workshop. And that was our first taste ever of how to do this right. Because until then, like we kind of knew, but we didn't. We went to that event. We sat through it together. We're like, holy crap, like sell to yourself. You can sell to yourself. And that's the whole refinance thing, right? And we kind of looked at each other. It's like, do you want to do this? Like, we'll sign up for that $1,000 premium thing. I'm like, yeah, like, let's do it. Like, you wanted to do it. We can get you at your corporate job. You could build something. Like, this is what you always wanted. Like, I can help you do it. I can help you market it, brand it, build it. And he's like, okay, cool. So we bought the course. And that was the moment. Like, that Scott McGillivray course was literally the point where that whole culmination of like, we can do more. And he's always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like he had early on, he had a construction company in his early 20s. He had all that stuff, but then the kids came and his injuries came. And so he's held off for like 25 years, like doing something he didn't like. And finally, I'm like, this is going to be his moment. So it's going to come together. All that sacrifice, all of the grandparents' sacrifice, like we can build this. Maybe we'll actually have this wealth. And it was exciting. So that event lit our fire. We came together. We just took everything we could. We met everyone we could possibly, and we just pushed forward. Like that was the start.
Cool. So looking back, I don't want to dwell too much time on it, but I want listeners to know, like, what did he do wrong with the investments? Why was he losing money?
So he just didn't know. So this was like early on, like most people. He didn't know about these networks. He didn't know about Rain, Rockstar. There was none of that. He didn't know people did this full time. He had the assumption that you'd buy a property, and if you could just kind of like almost break even or cover most of your costs, in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, the property would go up. And when you sold it, you'd make money. So he was betting on future appreciation. Mm-hmm. But he didn't know to think about cash flow. He didn't know that's possible. So one tenant, one building. So it was one tenant, one door, that's it. And obviously we know now, like people are laughing, like, well, that's not sustainable. Well, he figured that out. And so what would happen is it would work for a couple of months, and then, oh crap, you need new shingles. Oh crap, you need new windows. Oh crap, you need a new fridge. And like shit, we're barely breaking even, and things would crumble. And it's like it would get to a point where it's just stressful. And like, okay, let's just get out of this thing. It's costing money. And so it never really took off until we found that strategy.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you want to go back to the plumbing?
Yeah.
You do? Okay. Let's talk about plumbing. Sorry? Let's talk about plumbing before marketing.
Oh man, I feel like I'm gonna rant. Does anyone even know who I am? Is my question right now. Who is this kid?
No. The theory is that I'll have a prepared bio before we actually get into this conversation. That's the order that people listen
to.
Cool.
Cool. Yes. So the very beginning story about me. So, real estate is a big part of my life now. It's about half of it. The other half is a marketing agency. But rolling back to how we got here, I wasn't always an entrepreneur. I didn't always have business mind. I mean, I always felt it, but I never knew how to do it. Mm-hmm. So the plumbing thing is basically, in high school, I was a shit student, if I can say that. I was a terrible student. Mm-hmm. I was a terrible student. I hated school, not because I was like dumb or anything. I hated it. I hated being told what to do. I hated rules. I hated structure. And I performed like subpar. I had bad ADD. I couldn't focus. And so by grade 10, I was very much in this place where I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I don't want to be in an office. I can't focus. I knew from the beginning I didn't want corporate. I had no aspirations to like get a degree and get a job at some big company. Never, ever. And my brother was in construction and had friends in trades. And my brother's like, listen, why don't you become a plumber? They make $100,000 a year, get unionized. It's a great stable thing. There's always a demand. I'm like, sounds good enough. He took me outside. He's like, here's a copper pipe. Watch, solder it. He showed me how to solder. He's like, see, you could do it. And I'm like, cool, I can do it. So I took my co-op at high school that year in a plumbing company, which was a big learning experience because they kind of abused it. And so I was working 60, 70 hours a week as a free co-op student, which is probably highly illegal. And in some cases through the night. And I did that. They liked me. They hired me. I'm like, cool, I got my career. I'm going to start in plumbing. I worked. I ended up even doing the modules in school and the college. And that went on for a while, but I quickly became miserable. I was like, this is not what I want to do. I was looking at people around me, and I still have lots of friends who are plumbers, electricians, but man, they were worn out. These guys are 40, like double knee replacements. Whoa. Everybody was getting high. Oh yeah. Everyone was getting high all day, every single person. I've been at 2 companies, every single person. I worked with a guy who smoked 14 to 16 joints by noon. Like and I was like, this is not where I want to be, because I'm just going to be complacent for the money. I'm going to do something I don't love just going to get by, and then I'm going to have to like fill myself with drugs or alcohol just to make it tolerable. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. So then I looked at owning a company. I was like, maybe I can own a plumbing company one day. And that was the first spark of entrepreneurship. Looked at the company owners and I was like, man, they're stressed to shit. Like they're working more hours than we're working. One of them's got ulcers. I'm like, this is like 35. I'm like, maybe this is the wrong idea. And so anyway, long story short, I ended up having an injury and I had a fall. And that fall was because it was like -40 and we were on a rooftop of a dealership and I slipped on a metal. Anyway, I hurt my knee. I couldn't walk. I was on workman's comp for about 6 months. The company wanted to bring me back. They're like, just take a few more months off and come back. I was like, honestly, guys, I think this is a sign. Like, I've not enjoyed a minute of this. I've worked in everywhere from housing projects to large industrial construction. I've seen meth in bathtubs to like just everything you can imagine, from the shitty service side all the way to the complex, heavy industrial side. And I didn't like it. I was done. And I quit. But I quit not knowing what to do next. So that was the key. I didn't have something. I didn't have a backup plan. I just had the advantage that I was young and I had parents who could still obviously put a roof over my head. So I had that luxury. And I'm grateful for that. And that was where the whole thing started. Was like my parents were like, well, if you leave this, you have to do something else. And I go, I have no idea what I do. So I went to school for, oddly enough, business. I'm like, fine, and this is what happens with a lot of like kids. I think you're just pressured to go to school because your parents want the best for you and they don't know what that is sometimes. So it's just like, do something. So I'm like, cool, I'll register for business. I started with a 4-year degree. Year 1, I got bored. I cut it to a 3-year. I got bored again. I'm like, screw this. I'm ending it in a 2-year. I kept changing my course. I'm like, I need to get out of here. And a year and a half, not even a year and a half, in a year in, I already started my first business. My first real business, which was Toronto Skycam, which was aerial photography, a video media company. We media production on the ground, in the air. Worked with companies like Rogers, Mississauga Fire Department, a lot of different municipalities, everywhere. We just took drones to the sky, did great video, and produced stuff like that.
That's why you know so much about the laws.
Yeah.
You never mentioned that.
Yeah, we had fun. We were one of the first companies to like go through that process. And anyway, I did that, but it wasn't scalable. It required me to go out every day. The laws were getting ridiculous. Like every hour we were flying, it was hours of paperwork. Transport Canada would cancel projects right before we were supposed to do them. It was a nightmare. I was like, I just want to go and make money. I don't want to have to like fight the government every day. So I caught the attention of a larger company that does the training at Humber College for all the fire departments, the police, corporate clients like Enbridge, and they actually acquired Toronto Skycam for equity. I worked with them for a couple months. They stuck me in an office looking out a window doing paperwork, and I was like, no, it's not going to work. So I left that, got paid out on my equity because I'm not that. I like to be in the field. And so went from that. I mean, in between that, there was all those little projects I'm just not mentioning, but I was always in digital marketing. Like I grew the drone company on digital marketing. I knew no other way. I didn't know what normal marketing was. I didn't have budgets for TVs and radio. I knew Kijiji, Facebook, Instagram, and that's all I did. And so when I left Toronto Skycam and I left Altex after, which was a company that acquired us, basically I started doing these side projects. I'm like, I know digital marketing. So I built these online stores. I built Shopify stores. I built funnels. I built all kinds of things. I actually built a Shopify store selling women's athletic apparel that I sold to a lady in the States. We got up to a certain amount of sales and it wasn't even a registered company. It was like I built it in like a month and got a few $1,000 in sales and just flipped it. And I'm like, okay, I can't do random crap forever. Like I got to get serious. And I looked at all my stuff. And I'm like, what do I really want to do? So I literally sat down one day. I had a non-compete, so I couldn't go back into drones. So I sat back one day and I was like, okay, I'm going to come up with 3 concepts for 3 businesses I want to do. It was like that simple. I came up with 3. I couldn't visualize it, so I built a website for each of them just so I could look at it. I'm like, okay, this is what it's going to be. This is going to feel like. I talked to people around me, like, which one of these do you see me most doing? And everyone's like the marketing company, the Suit Social. And I called it Suit Social because I thought I'd be working with like suits, like realtors and automotive. And my last part-time job I used to do for cash was selling suits. I was a 100% commission salesperson. And I'm like, I'll use that as a reminder to never go back. Yeah.
I never get the suits part.
Yeah, I worked at Moore's selling suits for 100% commission as a wardrobe consultant, they called it. And it was a reminder, like that was the last job I ever had where someone paid me. And so I called it Suit Social as a reminder to never go back. Like that's the part that I left behind. This is the new path forward. So just a mental for me that no one else needs to know, but it was for me. And then I pretended to tie it into like, oh, we help professionals and professionals wear suits. but really it was for me. So I decided on going with that. And I started by charging someone like $100 a month to like post on Instagram. And it was just me in a bedroom. And we scaled it all the way to where we are now. We're in an office. We have full-time team members as you've seen. And it's been a very short time. So that's kind of where I am now. So plumber to marketing CEO, which CEO of myself and 2 people.
But you guys have some traction. We were golfing the other day. You're telling me like you're like number 3 or 4 based.
Yeah. So there's a company called Clutch.co. It changes daily, but we were given the award for 2017 and 2018 as a top 3 agency out of like 6,000. They rank that based on, we've dropped recently, but I'm going to get it back up before they do the next awards. But they based that on basically the quality. So to get ranked on there, they have to interview your clients. So I have to actually get clients on the phone with them, and they go through these different point scores, and it's like a 20-minute interview. So you have to keep getting your clients on the phone with them. And so it was based on customer satisfaction, like overall reviews, performance, consistency, number of actual people coming in. So we were like 5 stars across every category from everybody we sent to them. Then I got busy last 6 months. Like I haven't sent anyone their way. But it was based on that. So it's based on really that. And that was, they had like 6,000 something agencies ranked in Canada or in North America.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, what are people doing wrong on social media? I think that's probably 5 episodes. But think about from a real. I don't know how many real estate influencers you follow, but actually no, you can talk to any industry really, like dentists, lawyers. I don't know, Instagram models. I don't know what. Talk to any industry that people can associate with. What are people doing wrong?
I mean, it's all actually very common. Sometimes it's not industry specific. Like we work with a lot of people in real estate from investment and real estate agent standpoint. We work with a lot of other industries, and the problems are always the same. I think it stems from a very basic. I think what people are doing wrong is I think at a high level they don't even understand what it is, and I don't mean that in that kind of way. I mean as it's not a funny like cute app that you need to have because it's popular and you need to post stuff. It's not just some like cool side thing that you got to do because everyone's doing it. It's a complete shift in the way society communicates. I think that's the first thing we need to understand. Like it's the new communication. It's the new way we interact as humans. It doesn't matter if it's business, if it's personal. And I think that's being missed. It's being looked at as a tool. Oh, I can promote stuff. I can plug stuff there. My assistant can just post this ad and we can sell. It's not that. And if you're using it as that, you're going to be missing out massively. So the biggest mistake is people are, first of all, not understanding yet the magnitude. And they will as their competitors do and blow them out of the water in 5 years. They're going to start saying, crap, I really missed that boat. So what I see now is what I saw in the early, like, let's say late 90s, where people still thought websites were going to be optional. Like that's just a cool thing to put up your business info, but really who needs a website? And we know how wrong that was. So I think we're just not viewing it the right way. I think we're not coming with a value first approach, and we don't understand the weight or magnitude of social media. We think it's just a cute afterthought. I think that's the first big problem.
So what can people be doing today as a solo practitioner of social media marketing that would, like, I know we both follow Craig Ballantyne, for example, who is extremely, what's the word? He's extremely vulnerable. Is that a good tip? Because most people aren't. Because when I started doing Instagram, I started Instagram like less than 6 months ago. It's because I was told like Facebook's dead and it's all for old people. It's all the young people on Instagram. But anyways, I thought Instagram was all about showing off. Look at me. Look how great I look. I'm on this beach in whatever, exotic country, or this is me. This is my flip property. I'm the shit. Is that right? Is that the right thing to do?
Yeah. So I'll give you this. Let's take it back to that first question, what people should be doing. There is ultimately, when you get to the level you're describing now, there's going to be differences. There are tactical differences. If you're a model and you're trying to build your fitness brand, it's going to rely a lot on those beauty shots, on those, kind of egotistical, look how great this looks. If you're trying to sell, a money-making course, you're going to want to show those Ferraris and that lifestyle. But that doesn't mean it's the only way. So if I take it back and I go, what should people be doing right now at a very high level? Very basic to start is first, you got to start creating. You really have to start creating content, not just ads, not stuff you're trying to sell and promote, content. And if you want to know how to start creating content, you, like Gary Vee says, document. Everyone has, you meet with clients, you look at houses, you go to training events, you're out with your family, you're having great talks with your friends, you're at masterminds. Start documenting that and sharing it with the world, because right now no one knows what's going on except you. And that makes you valuable. Like, think about how you make relationships one-on-one in person. You build relationships because you meet someone, and then that person kind of comes into your life, and you guys do things together. They hear stories about you. They know what you're working on. They know what you're doing. They know what mastermind you're a part of, and that builds a relationship. So the first step in social is start documenting and sharing. Don't worry about how pretty it looks. Don't try to make it all fake and just fancy looking. Be real and just document. So if you're out looking at a house today, take a quick video. Talk about the house, what you're looking at, why you're there. If you're having dinner with a client, take a selfie and talk about the client, what you did, like why they're there. Like, make it real. Just start there. Don't worry about the technical and the algorithms and the type of post and the look of the post or the hashtags. Just start documenting, because that's the first thing no one's doing.
All right.
Does that kind of help at a basic level?
Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed I didn't take a picture of Jacob Brandy and I at lunch today.
See, these are valuable, especially with you. Like, how many people do you probably bump into in a week that you could do a quick video with or a picture with?
All the time. I'm at the gym with some like serious ballers, right?
That's what I mean. And so I mean, even like, I don't want to pretend it's all my advice, because like Craig Ballantyne says it all the time about like pretty pictures, get followers, but it's the valuable content that makes dollars. So it's like, there's tons of people out there, like, don't kid yourself, that have millions of followers that make no money, or make no money based on their influence. Like, they'll make some sponsorship dollars, they'll get a couple grand here and there. And there's guys like Craig with 25,000 followers that are making a couple million a year. So it's not so much about just how pretty your stuff can be. It's like how much value and how engaged your community. And the only way you're going to do that is by providing them real value consistently. Like, going deep into your life, like showing your vulnerability, like you said, giving them real value, educating, training, responding to every single comment, DMing back and forth and building relationships, engaging with other people in the platform. There's no shortcut. Like, and me as a marketing agency, 90% of what we do isn't even that. It's advertising side. Like, we're building ads, we're building campaigns and complex funnels, because I've realized that you can't replace that first part. If the owner doesn't have their own time or their own team, it's very hard. Like, even Gary Vee is taking the time to get in front of his own camera and actually talk and do his own content. Grant Cardone takes his time to pull up his phone and do those lives at 8 p.m. That part just can't be replaced by someone else. Like, you need to get on that thing and do it. So that's important.
So what's the schedule look like then? What's shit? Because I don't even have any content for today. I might just take a screen capture of you.
That's good content. No, so I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot of time. It doesn't have to be that bad. Like, if you look at a lot of people use the strategy, which Gary Vee talks about, which is the pillar strategy, because I think that's great. And I was at a mastermind recently, like a little coaching session, and one of the guys was talking about this genius method he has, which is basically he has his content already scheduled from now until December. It's already all scheduled. He doesn't make it as he goes. And then what he does is, because he's so busy, he doesn't want to spend all day like commenting and all that. He gives himself half an hour window per day to be on social. And what he does is, because the stuff is pre-scheduled, his content, he gives himself that half hour social media window around the time his content goes out. So his content automatically goes out. Same time he pops on social media, engages with everyone in the thing, answers DMs, blah, 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 has fun with it, and he's off again. So he's only spending 30 minutes a day. Like, you can do that in the morning. You can do that on the freaking toilet if you want. Like, it's not that time consuming, but most people do have more time than that. I mean, we all think we don't, but like, you're in the car, you're in a waiting room, you're waiting for a meeting, you're sitting somewhere. Like, you're always going to have these little bits of time if you really want to. And it takes, I mean, you can do for example, there's an app called Cut Story. So if you want to build an Instagram story, which people struggle with, like, oh, I got to document my whole day. What I do for Instagram stories is I get this thing called Cut Story. I just film myself talking for like 1 minute, 2 minutes, which literally takes 1 to 2 minutes of your time. Cut Story cuts it up into 15-second segments, and I upload it all onto Instagram, and all of a sudden I have like a 20-part story that took me 2 minutes. I didn't have to like go through my whole day to fill it. Mm-hmm. Right? So there's all these little like micro hacks. But the point is, there's some stuff you can't replace. Like, yes, ads, campaigns, funnels, and all that drive the sales immediately, but long-term, and that'll help your actual organic and branding, but long-term branding still comes from you. Like, we can't replace you engaging with people or DMing somebody or putting out a video of yourself at a meeting. Like, unless you're in your house all day, we can't replace that, right? So that's a powerful, it doesn't drive sales right away, but it starts building the relationships and the brand over the years.
Right. To be fair, like, building out a marketing campaign for 6 months, that's not easy. That's a bit of time.
No. It's not. It's really not. And that's why there's like being efficient. So for example, picking one type of medium and then breaking that down to others. So what I mean by that is like, you have a podcast. Let's say you video record these podcasts, which you do. Let's say we were even both in the room and there was very high quality 4K footage. You could do this podcast once at the beginning of the month for an hour. And then this could be one YouTube video, but then it can be cut up into several Facebook segments. And then it can be cut up into 60-second motivational posts on Instagram. And then it can be transcribed and become a blog. And then before you know it, like you have content on a bunch of channels from multiple posts from that 1 hour instead of like independently making them all.
Right.
So you do that once or twice. You spend one day. Sorry?
Is that something your company does? I can upload this to Google Drive.
What's that?
I can upload this to Google Drive for you afterwards.
Sure. Yeah, like we used to do all the organic and paid media. So organic is the stuff we're talking about. But clients just would fall through. Like we would give them lists of everything they could capture for us in a week, and they just wouldn't get it. And then like it looked like we're falling, and I'm like, we're ready, but you're not getting your part done. Right. Of those little, whatever it was. So we stopped, and it doesn't make immediate ROI anyway. So like, listen, we're going to specialize. We're going to do just ads, drive those sales, drive those leads, and we'll let the rest fall into place. That's their duty. At least our stuff still works. But yeah, it doesn't have to be hard. Like even Frank Ferragini, I don't know if you know Frankie Flowers, the guy who's on Breakfast Television every morning. Mm-hmm. So I had him at an event we did a couple weeks ago, and he was saying that he just meets with his media team. And this is doable too for an agency, but he works with the media. He meets with his media team one day every like 2 weeks, and they'll spend like 4 to 6 hours, just shoot a bunch of videos, a bunch of photos, a bunch of different content pieces in that 4 to 6 hours. And then they just go back, cut that up, and that's just content for the month. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to be too time consuming, but I still think the best strategy for that, you still got to be involved. And you just look at people like Grant Cardone and Gary Vee. They don't with all the money they have, all the money in the world, they still don't completely outsource. Mm-hmm. They do a lot. Like Grant does from his freaking like bedroom at like 6 a.m. live streaming or on Instagram. Like they still do a lot of it. But the team leverage, like you know what I mean? Like he leverages the team because they push it farther. They repurpose that content. They build ads. They get traffic to it. They grow. But he still gets there as the face because people know, like they know when it's you and when it's just being pre-scheduled content. So it's fine to have that as 90%, but 10% should still be you.
Crazy. Because it's actually interesting because we had a very short debate on who was bigger. Do you remember this? Or back at the Nissville Boat Club, we're debating who's bigger, Damon John from Shark Tank, who's on primetime television, or Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah. Gary Vee.
Yeah, and it took a while, but yeah, I think I'm on board with you. But that's absolutely insane. Someone on primetime television who is legit entrepreneur, who's made lots of money with a big hip hop brand. Like hip hop's huge. Like hip hop as an industry, as a lifestyle, as a culture is huge, right? For those who don't know, Damon John is one of the founders, co-founders, whatever, business owner of Fubu, For Us By Us, right? Massive brand. And again, he's on Shark Tank, right, in the US, primetime television. But we're actually pretty, and anyone who wants to debate with us, feel free, whatever. Like Gary Vee is massive. And, and I bet you his marketing budget is probably less than Shark Tank's. Do you think I'm wrong?
100% less. Well, because that speaks to the new landscape. Like, dude, because it's irrelevant, because it's old technology. Like it would also cost more to get 1,000 horses and tie them together and drive than it would to just buy a modern supercar and fast. It's just TV is outdated. Like, think about primetime television. How many viewers might that show get? Would you think? I don't even know. I'm just bullshitting here, but like, how many viewers does primetime TV get? Yeah, let's Google that.
I'll Google it.
And then we'll compare that to the amount of people that I know Gary Vee reaches for way less budget, because it's the new media, man. And TV's on, the show's on once a week. Gary Vee's on like every 3 hours. Mm-hmm. It's just it's a whole different game. I want to see this number. Primetime TV. Couple million?
Averaging 5 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So all you gotta do is go to Gary Vee's YouTube page, look at the total views, and even like Tai Lopez. Tai Lopez has billions of views. How many primetime TV show runs do you have to acquire that? Billions. You know what I mean? And that's just on one channel. Now times that by the Facebook and the Instagram and the Twitter and the website views. Mm-hmm. they permeate way deeper, and it's cheaper because attention was still traditionally on TV. Mm-hmm. So the price of the media is only determined by the demand of advertisers. So that's why Gary Vee keeps saying it's the golden age of social media, because still not all the advertisers are allocating all their budget. But once billions and billions of dollars start dumping here, it's not going to become so cheap. And because the brand, like these companies, social companies are going to know, right? They're going to start, it's going to become a premium. Right now, anyone can go spend $5 and get decent reach and push a piece of content. But it won't be like that forever. Because right now they're still focused in other places. But when it all shifts here, it's going to change.
Right.
TV is just still the legacy. It's expensive as crap, but it's dying. It's dying slowly from the bottom up. And what I mean, look at like local TV stations. I was talking to a business the other day. He gets offered free airtime because they just need to fill spots and don't have anybody on these local news stations. Mm-hmm. Where he used to 10 years ago be paying $10,000 a spot. The same shows are coming now, but like, can you just come on for free? We need to fill it.
Crazy. And actually,
so it's changing.
For anyone who disagrees with us saying that Damon John versus Gary Vee, because I think where the discussion started was speaking fees. Gary Vee's speaking fee, I'm sure, is quite a bit higher than Damon John's. So that's another way of determining who is bigger. So hopefully we squashed. No, I'm going to get mail. I'm a big fan of Damon John.
100 and 150K.
Yeah, exactly. But he wasn't always that. He's actually gone up very fast, very significantly. And actually, it's funny enough because I don't have cable, which is probably pretty common now. I actually see Damon John mostly on social media now. And again, I like Damon John. I own his book. I have a whiteboard next to my bed because that was the advice he gave at Archangel last year. So no hate, please. I'm actually a big fan of myself.
Yeah. Oh no, they're both super successful, but they're from two eras and two different mediums, right? Like I actually saw the success firsthand because when I went to 10X GrowthCon this year, Damon spoke, and Damon was selling his new online course. It was like Damon on Demand, and the amount of responses they got to that was like he sold a few, but nothing significant. And then Russell Brunson came on, who's another huge social media like star with ClickFunnels, and he sold $3 million worth in an hour. So like that shows you the power of these legacy guys trying to transfer to the new social landscape, no matter how credible or successful they are, because he is. But he's trying to transfer out his digital like social landscape compared to the people who started here: Russell Brunson, Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez. Man, those guys are going on stage and just commanding dollars. Like they have, because it's not just about the views; it's about the connection. Mm-hmm. And I think that these new social celebrities built a much deeper connection because you're not just watching anymore on the TV screen. Mm-hmm. You're a part of it. You can like I've messaged during Grant Cardone live streams and he's responded. Same with Gary Vee. Same with Ty Lopez. Like you're a part of it. You don't feel like you're just observing. You feel like you already know them, and I think that's also to be contributed to who's got more kind of clout.
Cool. And that's them. That's them responding. It's not an assistant. It's not someone in India.
Yeah. No. Like Grant Cardone's live, and I'm messaging on the live, and he's talking. Like he's like, "Hey, Darren, yeah, thanks so much for the support." Like he's talking back on it.
That's probably just fancy software. I'm just messing.
Animation.
Yeah.
CGI.
Live
free
CGI.
Grant Cardones. Oh my god!
Based on whoever's DMing him, the software just spits it right back. CGI. Okay, so
that's fun.
So there's organic, right? Which would be like me posting on Instagram, me having lunch with Jacob Brandy, for example, or even this podcast is organic. Because even like my business has these challenges. Like, where does organic end? Like when do you go to paid advertising?
Okay. So both will work hand in hand in an ideal world. And there's endless variables of how that starts and where it ends and where because it all depends on a lot of things. Like if you have the budget, you can do all things at all the same time. Mm-hmm. But if you don't, let's just assume the average listener, I'm assuming, has started with organic. You're probably posting every now and again. You're probably using Facebook and Instagram. Maybe you're boosting a post here and there to like big boost button. So what's the difference there? So the organic side is very great at that brand building we mentioned. It's great at building an audience slowly, building relationships, but it's very much to chance. It's very much like walking out into a crowd just kind of shouting, and maybe you make a couple friends, maybe you don't, but there's no real scalability. It's that's what it is. It's really like it's just not. You wouldn't bet on it. It'd be very hard to bet on, okay, we're going to post every single day and do all this content and do all this video, and in 6 months we're going to hit this target, and that means we can allocate this much money to it. it's just not a science. It's more of an art. It's hard to explain, but it's just more of an art. Whereas paid advertising it's a different game. So one of the guys I look up to a lot, his name is Frank Kern. He's like probably one of the original authorities on digital advertising from even before social. Frank Kern, he's a monster. And he says it all the time. The most predictable, scalable way to grow a business is through paid advertising. The reason why, organic has variables. You post the first day, no one sees it. Maybe the second day, slightly more. Maybe the third day, people don't like it again. There's nothing really sustainable. Maybe it takes you 2-3 years to build a brand that anyone actually pays attention that's worth anything. Mm-hmm. Paid advertising, you can plan a campaign in a few days. Mm-hmm. You can build some landing pages. You can build some traffic. You can come with a good offer. And in a couple weeks, you're getting sales and revenue on that offer. And you look at it and you tweak it. And you can get to a point where it's a science where you go, okay, $100 goes in, $200 comes out. Great. Let's put 1,000. And then 2,000 comes out. Great. Let's put 2,000 in. And then 4,000 comes out. And it's an actual sustainable growth engine over time. If you can commit to it and you can actually plan it accordingly and you have the expertise and the knowledge, advertising is independent of anything else. You could have no personal brand at all in theory, have nothing else, and still make sales through paid advertising day one. Now, the brand obviously helps. It's the thing that's going to hold the hand. But the point is, you can bet on paid advertising. You can't bet on organic. There's too many variables. There's way too many variables. So that's the big difference. So when you stop organic, it's kind of that point where you go, listen, I'm having fun with social. I get it. I get my community. I'm getting some growth. I'm getting some interest. But I want to start having some sustained sales, some longevity, some actual ROI that I can track, some reach and metrics I can track as a business tool. That's when you look at advertising, Facebook and Instagram and all that. And it also matters if that has to happen at a point when you even have an offer. Right? You want to have something down the line to sell. Doesn't mean your ads right away. Maybe your first advertising strategy is just taking all that content you make and really getting it out there. We have clients that we get like hundreds of thousands of views a week on their video content. And that was their entry strategy because no one in the city knew them yet. So we had to make sure that people were seeing their stuff. But then when we had enough people watching that stuff, then we hit those people with, contests and opt-ins, and we hit enough of those, then we're hitting them with offers. Now you can buy something. So you also have to have a strategy before you go into paid. You have to know what you're doing and why you're doing. Right. That's going to be your definitive answer. So when you kind of cap out an organic and it's going well, and you have a business reason, like I have a reason to take it to the next level, I know what I want to get to and what I want to sell, that's going to be the moment.
And then what should be the sell be? And I want to, just for listeners' benefit, I want to bring this back to real estate. Anyone who's spending any time on social media, and from my social media, I see tons of stuff from Stefan Arnio, for example. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he's a past guest of mine. He has ads everywhere, popping up, and he's making all various types of offers, free reports, a pen, a book, whatever. So is that something that you would do? You create the offer, or does the investor, your customer, have to come up with the content? Actually, you even mentioned giveaways.
When we work with investors, yeah.
With the giveaway, I don't have to create any content in that case.
Yeah. So with investors and realtors, in terms of working with us with Suit Social, it's very much a collaborative process. So sometimes the clients come to us, it depends on their stage. They might already have those offers. Sometimes they come to us and they don't know what they're doing yet. Mm-hmm. So it's up to us to sit with them. And that's why we have this thing called the discovery process. When they first sign on, it's up to us to go through that and clarify, figure out where they want to go. What is it you're actually doing? What actually are you selling? What makes sense as an offer? Then we build a strategy around that. Okay, this is going to be your offer. This is going to be kind of your lead gen stuff and contests. This is going to be your like awareness stage, your video. Like we build that with them. We get a good understanding of their brand. We do our research. We talk to them. We look at their competitors, look at the market. We look at industry leaders, and then we boil that all down. And we'll come back to them and be like, listen, either this is what we think you should do because you had nothing, or we look at what they already had and go, that would work really well, or this is how you should change what you have or rethink how we're going to sell it, right? Because offers, I don't know if you're asking content-wise or just offer-wise, but offer-wise is like we come up with that. Content-wise, again, we can make that or we'll have you make that. But really content is subjective because, I mean, an offer is just really referring to something you're going to be selling. Mm-hmm. How we sell that determines what content we need.
Right. So I recently wrote a top 10 report. Is either your advice. I got some advice from many directions and I just finally did it.
Nice.
You can ask John for it when you guys need it. But But is
Nice.
do you consider that a sell? Because I just want to explain to the listeners, it doesn't have to be necessarily you want to exchange something for money. You could just be offering, I do this often. Like if you want this podcast in your email every time that it comes out, give us your email address.
Yes.
There's no exchange of money.
This is how. No. So there is the way I look at it. The way we work at our agency, I've created basically 3 categories. So these 3 categories, and I'll tell you after about the events we're doing because this is going to be a theme of those events because we're trying to teach this and make people aware. Mm-hmm. There's 3 kind of categories. So this is how we look at it. In advertising, you have first awareness. So awareness is the stage of just getting your content, your brand, your face, your values in front of people. Because it's very hard to do anything when no one's seen you before. It's very hard to pop up in front of someone. Here's my product, buy it now. Or if you're a realtor, I'm a realtor, buy a house with me. When no one's seen anything about you before.
It's like half the ads out there.
It does. It does. I don't know how it happened, but it's so common. It's like, so awareness is the first stage. So that's building rapport. So your podcast is your awareness stage right now. If you're doing video content, that's your awareness stage. If we're promoting either of those, that's your awareness stage, right? Think of it like your TV commercial. That's your awareness. Now, the second category is your lead generation. So this is actually taking a step farther. So you have your awareness. Now your lead generation is the stuff you talked about. Give me your email and I'll send you a podcast episode. Give me your email and I'll send you this guide or ebook. That's the lead generation aspect in my social media world. I know there's different meanings in a lot of, but that's our lead gen, because what you're doing is you're capturing a lead, but you're not selling anything yet. You're giving them something in exchange for information so that they can get into your database, where you can nurture them, you can call them, you can text them, whatever you're going to do with that data. Mm-hmm. That's lead gen. So that's all that stuff, but it's also contests. It's also giveaways. It's also sometimes just general lead gen ads, but that's lead gen. The third tier. So once you have all that, you have sales and conversion. So this is actually the type of ads that are going to actually make money down the line. These are your offers. This is here. I actually do have something to sell for money. I have a coaching program. I have a $10 workshop. I have a book I wrote for $20. I have a whatever. Those are ads and campaigns around things you're going to make money on. And the way we do it, each of those 3 tiers, so you have awareness, lead gen, and sales, we tie them in and they run at once. So you have videos getting, and that's a great strategy. You have videos getting awareness up here. People are seeing you, 100,000 of views. Then people getting retargeted. Here's some ebooks. Here's my podcast. Here's my email list. And then you get people, okay, here's the offer. Here's the sale. Here's the thing. And they all run at the same time. So it's constantly following people through. Right. So that's one way to look at it.
Right. And I see your dad has ads for, your target, your dad's ads that end up in my Facebook stream for his events that he's hosting in Simcoe. Yeah, I don't know if that's intended or not.
Yeah, no, it probably is. I can't remember what we did with so many things going on right now. I think we had done a retargeting thing for him just for people who like engaged. And I've been making him post about it. Like I made him do little video clips all the time now.
Yeah.
And I even like did some like email blasts for, I wrote some like story selling, like telling about his story in his corporate. Like we literally, actually it's funny because like 2 days ago he has this event is next week up here, and we haven't been really pushing it till recently. And so we had a couple signups, like probably a dozen signups, no paid advertising at that point. And I'm like, let me write a quick email blast. And I just like the deep, and this is a lesson for you guys. Story selling is so powerful. So I wrote this long format like post about his story, why they need to come, how he was feeling frustrated, his corporate job, how he got out of it, how real estate pulled him out, and how the only reason it happened is because he took a shot on a free event and that changed his trajectory. And I'm like, I don't want you to be the one that misses out, because what if that was me 2 years ago saying I was too busy for that free event? And we like tripled signups in like one night because I put that on the email list and I put that on social media. And a lot of people have this misconception. Long format does not bore people. Having a long like story Facebook post, people will read it. The research shows they will read it. Not just now, they always have. David Ogilvy, who founded the like $19 billion agency, Ogilvy and Mather, did a whole report on how people are more likely to read like massive things. And it's way more like the stats he had behind the percentage of how much more long format sells than short format is incredible, as long as it's written well. So we did that. We blew it up. And yeah, so we had all sorts of like, but very little. Like we spent like maybe like $20 on his event so far. Like nothing major, just little stuff.
Crazy.
Isn't it nuts?
Yeah. Just thinking about how I go promote one of my events. And if anyone listening about events, like if you're up north, sure, go go to Manny's event. But if anyone else, my event's much more central to GTA.
Yes. Yeah, we're trying to get the Simcoe folks up here moving.
Yeah.
Thinking and talking and going, because there's a lot of stuff happening in Barrie and beyond.
Awesome. I'm trying to get everyone from Barrie and south and like Oshawa to London at my events. That's my territory.
Yeah. Nice. And you know what? Honestly, my dad's goal, I don't think is to be the guy that's having an event every week. He just does it because it's a fun thing. Like we haven't done it in a long time. He really just wants to be that event. He wants his freedom. He's at a point where he's worked way too long. he just wants a few great deals. He wants to have some great clients and JVs, and he's happy. Like, he's not trying to build the next big workshop education brand at all.
Right. And for the listeners' benefit, like Manny's driving people towards an event where he is the authority, probably one of the authorities, but he will be speaking to the group about his own investing and his own story, and that will help him in his process to attract people with capital and credit. So that's one method to do it, and Darren's explaining exactly the method that they're doing it. So yeah, story's a tough one because again, like attention is difficult. I have so many emails I don't even open. I have so much mail, so much snail mail I don't open. So
yeah, they're just, you know what it is? It's how, honestly, if you want to know one skill, everyone listening right now, that will up the game for your entire business forever, including your social media, your email, learn the skill of copywriting. There's a lot of books on it. I know you all think you're really busy. Chances are you won't be able to afford a good one because they're going to cost you, I would say, anywhere between 5 and 6 figures. So if you want to save a lot of money and grow your business well, learn copywriting. People don't read things because they're not written well. But when you learn the psychology behind writing, and a lot of times I don't tap in. Like I studied copywriting for years. I freelanced as a writer for a long time for business. But I don't even go that deep in my own marketing because there's a lot of effort behind it. But when you do it, when you actually put something together with that much detail, it will blow you away the amount of people that read it and actually respond and buy something. It's crazy. Learn copywriting. It'll change your business.
Right. And for folks who want to start, a good place, probably like the first place many people start is a Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy. I can see it on my wife's nightstand. I'll include the link in the show notes. I'll just make a note of that.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Are you Dan Kennedy student fan? I know a lot of people you follow are.
I have like I wouldn't say he's my forefront. I've seen his content. I've read some of his stuff. He's not currently the person I'm focusing on, no.
Yeah.
Cool. But he's great.
We gotta go to his event though.
Sure. When is it?
He hasn't announced yet. There's one in November that I can't make. I'm sure there'll be. I don't know how many they offer. I think they offer at least 2 a year. One's in Orlando, so that'll be fun.
Wow.
They always split time between Chicago and Orlando. I'd rather go Orlando personally.
Yeah, it'll be nice and warm.
So
I'm gonna go to Disneyland.
Exactly. That's why we're going to Orlando. I don't think there's anything else in Orlando. Oh, and the funny thing about Dan Kennedy's a massive fan. He's a capitalist, right? So one of the best capitalist companies in the world is Disney.
Oh yeah.
All right. And
big time.
Quick story is those pins, those collector pins that they sell, for the listeners' benefit, those remember like those Maple Leafs, those little pins, it's the size of like the end of your pinky. You always see them around Canada Day. It's a pin, you pin it to your shirt, and there's a back to it, right? So like at Disney, they sell tons of those as collector items, right? Like every character, I'm sure they have like probably 150 versions of Mickey Mouse, whatever, right? So the common problem with these pins is the back falls off of them, right? So what you and I might do as a business owner or manufacturer of these pins is to come up with a better backing, right? What Disney does is they sell you 5 of them for $5. The backings. Just the backing. Right?
I love it.
Right? How much do you think that costs? Do you think that costs even 5 cents? No, they sell it to you for $5.
Wow.
Right. And people, it's funny because people have
they make money.
They make money. They're so good at making money, right? And you talk about funnels. They funnel you like the movies funnel you to Disney, and then there's all sorts of funnels there. So actually, it's a good segue into funnels. You mentioned funnels many times. So explain that from. Okay, so start with the ad and how does the funnel work in from there?
Yeah. So when I talk about funnels, what I mean technically, the original definition of that can be many things. Like you said, Disney. Disney has funnels. Like you watch movies from a young age, then all of a sudden you want to go to the theme park, then all of a sudden you're buying the product. That's kind of their own funnel. In the digital marketing and social media space, when I say funnels, I'm talking about that whole kind of ecosystem of traffic up top to some sort of landing page and opt-in and capture to an eventual sale and running prospects through that. So a total funnel usually includes some sort of traffic generation system. Some people will use, let's say, Google AdWords. Some people, it's through their blog and they're opting to SEO. Some people are using, I just choose social media traffic. I choose Facebook and Instagram. It's, to me, the easiest, the most scalable, the most repeatable, the most trackable. So the way we do funnel is we build ads up front, like you discussed. So that's the traffic. So we're trying to get people to. Then we build landing pages. Our system of choice is ClickFunnels. So ClickFunnels is where we build all of our landing pages for myself and for our clients. And basically, we just try to get all the traffic from the social media into those landing pages. Now, people do that. There's, infinite things. Like funnels can be as simple as ad, grab your email, here's an ebook. And they can be as complicated as like ad, here, grab your email, here's an ebook. Then you get emailed 7 things. Then you get invited to a webinar. Then in the webinar, you get an upsell. Then you buy that, so you get upsold again. And you buy that, so you get upsold again. Then you're in like a $10,000 coaching program. Like there's those funnels too. So they can be as simple or as complex. So don't think of it as just a way to get an ebook out. It can be huge. Like I went through Craig Ballantyne's funnel, and it took me from, I didn't know who he was at the time. I got his book. Then I bought the premium like box set kit with all the worksheets. And before I knew it, I signed up for a $6,000 coaching program in the same funnel. And I knew it was a funnel because I built them and it still worked. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's kind of the funnel deal. So we do that a lot with clients. The reason we do that is you have only a couple options when you're going to send traffic somewhere. So you have a website. Typically a website does not do a great job of converting it. When you send traffic to a website, there's too many distractions. They can click on your about page, your contact page, this, that, and before you know it, they're back on Google and they're on a competitor's website. When you send them to a landing page typically only has one offer. Put your email in or put your name in or put your credit card in and get this one thing. You can't click back to a home page. You don't go to a contact page. One objective. It converts way better. And the whole thing is designed to convert. So the headline will match the ad headline and the colors match the creative in the ads, and everything's just like seamless, right? And then if you want, after they've done what you want them to do, you can link back to your website if you want that traffic or whatever. But that's why we do them. And also in the beginning, most of our clients' websites really, really sucked. And we're like, we cannot send anything there ever. So we just took control and we're like, instead of building a whole new website, I'm just going to build your landing pages. Yeah, so it's very, very, very efficient. And the other part of that, so the other big part, you have the traffic up top and you have the landing pages for offers. You then have nurturing. So a lot of times you've opted in for something, then you find your own email sequence. So we do that as well. So we'll build all the Facebook ads, we'll build all the landing pages, and then in a lot of cases, if they don't have one, we'll build an email sequence. So when someone opts in for something, we can nurture them. So real estate, for example. Let's say you're a real estate investor and you're trying to track joint venture partner. I'm doing this on the fly in my head. We're going to build a campaign where you're going to have maybe you talking about whatever the main topic and pain point is in a video. That's going to go to something on a landing page where you're going to get it opt in and get the thing you're talking about. So maybe you have the 10 tips that you need to know if you're going to get started in real estate investing. They're going to download those tips. We haven't sold them nothing yet. They got a book. But now they're going to be on an email chain. And tomorrow they're going to get a, hey, thanks so much. How was the book? And the day after, hey, by the way, I forgot this 11th tip, which is going to be crucial. And then day whatever, hey, by the way, I'm doing an event where we're going to be talking about this stuff. Come sign up. And they're going to click that, and they're going to opt into another event on a landing page. And then, right, you get what I'm saying? And then at that event, so it goes on and on. So we do all that stuff.
And you can do that.
That's a funnel.
So for listeners' benefit, one of the things that attracted me to Darren, because other than his sweet beard and young age, was there's really no one out there who does this all for you. Am I right? I'm sure you did that analysis when you were trying to decide what business to start.
Yeah, it's actually a big part of it is that not only is there not anyone doing it, there's people who will say they do it. No one specializes in only that. So we are one of the most, I think, specific agencies in Toronto because all we literally touch is is social media advertising. And the way I said it is social media advertising and all the components needed to make that successful. So that if that means you need landing pages, that means you need emails, but primarily all we do is Facebook advertising. There's a lot of agencies who say they do websites and SEO and Google AdWords and Facebook and Instagram and email and landing page. Yeah. They don't. It's impossible because I have a whole team doing one thing and we still can't handle it. There's still so much more to go. Right. So we're just very specialized too.
But also all the funnels as well. Like, and I'll give context. Like, I was at a Dan Kennedy conference. Hope I'm not giving away too much. But there was a company there. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. So trying to not say too much or bash anyone, but some companies are really, really expensive. Like the number in my head was like $7,000 to $10,000 a month to do everything right for you, basically from a marketing standpoint, and minimum 12 or 18 month commitment, right? That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So the way we approach that is because
it was all American dollars too, by the way.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's a fair price. But the reason they're setting that is, you know what? There's different needs for different people. And that's going to work really well for that high end, that larger business that's going to have that budget. And that's who they want. So to be quite honest, they don't want the smaller businesses because it's more of a headache. Smaller businesses don't know what they want. They don't know what direction they're taking. They have a lot of confusion. They're missing a lot of pieces. So people go, screw that. I'll just charge more, get the big guys who are ready. So we didn't do that. Our whole kind of goal was basically, I saw small businesses as the people getting neglected the most. So our price point, which is typically around $2,000 a month, let's say, for all that stuff, and there's no add-on, it's all in, is because I knew that one, small business could afford that, and two, I saw small businesses weren't being served. They were going to those agencies and they couldn't afford that 10K American, it's like what, 13, 14 grand a month or whatever it is, Canadian. And so what was their choice? Then they would either hire some random freelancer that was like garbage or knew nothing, or they would do nothing at all. And I'm like, we could serve this, like the small business market is the largest market in terms of business. So why shouldn't someone be here helping them? Now, that said, we don't work with anybody. There are still people that we can't help. It's not ready. But a lot of them we can. So that's why we price that way, because you don't necessarily need what those guys are offering either. You might need a lot simpler solution depending where you are. They just don't want to figure out what that solution is because it's always different in small businesses.
And part of the reason why I tell people that like businesses like yours don't exist is often like the names that you've mentioned, they're doing it for themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Like Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez, they're all brilliant marketers. And we were talking before off camera about like Lewis Howes, and again, a lot of people who are really successful in this area just do it for themselves. They're not available for hire.
Yeah. It's very true.
All right. Awesome.
It's very true. And if they were, like, you could hire Russell Brunson to do your funnels, but it's probably going to cost you $500,000, like no joke.
And probably a cut.
So there, yeah. And that's probably a great fit if you're like a $4 billion company that can make a couple $100 million on that funnel. Probably a great fit. But again, the average small business is not going to afford that level of expertise, nor do they probably need it, because you're not trying to make hundreds of millions of dollars. A lot of people would be happy. Like, we're working with businesses anywhere between typically 250 grand a year to up to 10 million. So I think our biggest client right now is about 10 million a year.
That's not me.
And it works really well. No, that is. Actually, he's 11 million. No, I'm kidding. You're our second biggest at 9.5 million.
Next year.
Yeah. So, and within that range, it works very well. And no one's serving them. No one's serving them well. They're either getting way underserved or pitched being way overserved, can't afford anyway. So we've come in and we help that, because I personally love small business, and my end game is to build a marketing engine that I'll use for myself later. When I'm speaking, when I have my own podcast, when I do my own events, when I have my own, I want to flip businesses down the road. I want to build a great team that knows how to do that in any business so that I can use it. Yeah, so I'm kind of building it for me, but other people will benefit in the process.
That'd be very cool. Okay, so there's only so much we can cover. Actually, we've covered a lot. And like, I've been a forever student. Not a forever student. I've been a student of this subject for quite a while. And it's not the easiest thing to learn. And even though I know a lot of this stuff, doesn't mean I've executed 80% of what you've discussed.
It's the hardest part.
Yeah, execution's the hardest part. We have mutual friends who've been to traffic conversion and haven't done anything with it.
True. It's true.
So you have free trainings coming up. Tell us about that.
Yes. So I used to just do like little local events in Barrie. Then when we got busy, I was like, screw it, I don't have time. But after that coaching session with Craig, I'm like, okay, I got to go big. I got to bring to other cities. Everyone needs to know about this. So we're doing 4 events to start, which is going to be Barrie, Vaughan, Toronto, and Oakville at varying dates. The free workshop is on those systems we talked about today. So basically, we're calling the 7-figure social media systems. That's the awareness, the lead gen, and sales. It's going to be on that. So we're going to be breaking that down, what actually goes into that, how to actually build that, everything you need to know to get that. So it's a great event for business owners, for marketing directors, for like bring your team to it, and they're free. We're capping them at 30 people per event max. So it's intimate. It'll be one-on-one with me. I answer questions as we go. I'm there for Q&As after. It's all very high-level value add. It's a little workshop. It's a very intimate workshop. So we're doing 4 of them.
Excellent. For the independent folks, how do they find out about the dates other than my show notes at truthaboutrealestateinvesting.ca?
Other than the show notes, they could find me. They could find me on Instagram, so they could go to @Darren Cabral, and if you just click the link in my bio, all the event dates and times are going to be there as well. Awesome. @Darren Cabral, it'll all be right there. Everyone use Instagram. I got to use social media. Got to practice what I preach.
So no Facebook.
Yeah, they're on Facebook too. I'm posting about it everywhere, but the easiest spot is Instagram. My link right in my bio. It'll take you right to all the event dates and times. You can select one. Awesome. I'll send you the links to the other ones too if you need them.
Yeah. I thought there was just one link. Like the Eventbrite link went to all of them, didn't it?
Nope. No. I'll send you the link. I have funnels for each one, so like you opt in through the landing page.
Awesome. Folks can go down.
You can see my email sequences at work.
Love it. I'm just gonna copy each one.
Yes, sir. Copy them.
Awesome, Darren. It's been a blast.
That's good. Thanks, man.
We're way over time.
No problem. It was fun though.
Awesome.